Ги гледате вестите на Сител. Во студиото со вас Маријан Николовски.
Вечерни вести во 9. Добро вечер. Членството на Македонија во НАТО е остварување на еден од најзначајните национални интереси на државата од нејзиното осамостојување. 4 години подоцна македонската армија покажува колку е подготвена и модернизирана не само за учество во мисиите на НАТО, туку и за справување со предизвиците во регионот. Еве дел од денешните пораки.
4 години стратешки партнер во најголемиот воено-политички сојуз. Македонија одбележува 4 годишнина од пристапувањето во НАТО алијансата. Но овој ден, пред 4 години, Македонија покажа каде припаѓа, кои се нашите вредности и кое е нашето место како земја која од секогаш се залагала за мир, демократија и безбедност, порача министерката за одбрана Славјанка Петровска. Според неа, примената на НАТО стандардите направиле македонската армија да биде модернизирана и рамо до рамо со останатите земји членки.
Првиот, 27 март, ја потврди нашата одлучност за независна и самостојна држава. А вториот, 27 март, ја зацврсти нашата безбедност и стабилност. Влегувајќи во НАТО, јасно го одбравме патот, стабилност и сојузништво наспроти деструктивни однесувања. НАТО постои за да се заштити себе си и да не дозволи унилатерални и непромислени одлуки на различни режими да бидат оние кои ќе посегнат по нашата територија, по нашите граѓани.
Одбележувајќи и 32 години од формирањето на Генералштабот, македонската армија покажа колку е подготвена и модернизирана, не само за учество во мисиите на НАТО, туку и за справување со предизвиците во регионот, порача бригадниот генерал Трајковски.
По потпишување на пристапниот протокол, на она што сега сме горди, дека сме земја членка на НАТО, која во најкраток можен рок, некаде за само 18 месеци изврши потполна интеграција во воената структура на НАТО алијансата. Со тоа започна едно ново поглавје во функционирањето на армијата, но и Генералштабот како највисоката стратегиска команда, но и највисокото стручно тело на Министерството за одбрана.
Пред представници на македонската армија, министри, амбасадори и војните аташеа од земјите членки на НАТО, армиската гарда ја изведе показната точка екзерцир. Промовирани беа и 2 поштенски марки изработени по повод 4 години од членството во НАТО и 75 годишнината од основањето на алијансата. На 27 март 2020 година во Стейт Департментот во САД беше депониран инструментот за пристапување кон Северноатлантскиот договор, со што Македонија и официјално стана 30-та земја членка на алијансата. Ивана Соколовик најдова, Сител Телевизија.
Патот до НАТО беше полн со предизвици. Една од најзначајните подршки Македонија добиваше секогаш од САД како нејзин стратешки партнер. Поранешниот амбасадор Филип Рикер за Сител открива како всушност се случило Македонија да стане членка токму на денешен ден, иако постоела можност да се случи ново одложување. Рикер, со кого разговараше Иван Кузмановски, сега вели дека Македонија не само што има европска иднина, туку и иднина во Европската унија. Испрати пораки за изборите.
Ambassador, welcome at the newscast. It is a pleasure to have you on this historic day for Macedonia.
Ivan, it's great to be here. I'm very pleased to be in Skopje, particularly, as you say, on this day, the 4th anniversary of North Macedonia's accession to NATO.
I'm seeing the picture behind you. It was a really important day for Macedonia, 27th of March 2020, the year when the COVID pandemic was starting, but also a very special moment for Macedonia. You were among the few people in the State Department in this period, but the one that received the instrument for Macedonia becoming the new member state of the NATO alliance. How do you remember this day?
Well, of course, Ivan, I've been involved with this country for many years. I first served here as a diplomat when I still had some hair, back in the 90s, of course, in a difficult and turbulent period, the war in Kosovo. Maintaining stability here was important. I've always said that this country, now North Macedonia, has no better friend than the United States. And when I came back as ambassador in 2008, after the disappointment from the Bucharest summit, we focused on getting to the point where the membership in NATO could become real. And you will remember from those times that I was asked about it almost every day, and I said, look, solve the name issue, and then NATO membership is set, is ready. And ultimately, it took a decade, but you did that. And so for me, it was very important with the historic Prespa agreement, the resolution of that problem, that difficult and emotional problem, that now we could move forward with full NATO membership, which was certainly always the United States policy. And so when it was done, I was not going to let anything stand in the way. And by that time, of course, in 2020, I was the Assistant Secretary of State for European Affairs, Europe and Eurasia, based in Washington. The job now held by Jim O'Brien, who, of course, has been a long friend of this country as well. And in 2020, we were facing this pandemic, as everybody realized, and some people said, well, we should delay the steps necessary till after the pandemic. And I said, no, absolutely not. We are doing this. And so for me, it was an important day. We were closing down the State Department because of the pandemic, stopping visitors. And I said, no, the last visitor will be the ambassador of Spain, who brought the final documents, and Spain was the last NATO ally to ratify the membership of North Macedonia. And then the Macedonian chargé d'affaires came so that we could present and deposit in Washington, which is the official depository of the North Atlantic Treaty, the Treaty of Washington. And that was historic,
yes,
and a very important day for me.
And we are 4 years in NATO, but very special years in Macedonian occasions, but also globally, what's going on. And people are asking what we have received from being a full member state of NATO. What would be your answer?
You are a partner, an ally of, I think, arguably the most successful defensive alliance. NATO is defensive. It is about collective defense. It is about cooperating. It's about countries that are democracies, that share the same values, defending each other from attack, just like NATO defended the United States, declared Article 5 after the attacks in September 11th, 2001. And we see more and more, of course, in the last 2 years since Putin's attack against Ukraine, a full-scale attack, of just how important that collective defense is. The deterrent effect of NATO has created in the North Atlantic space, now 32 countries, a space of unprecedented security, stability, and prosperity. And we're about to celebrate the 75th anniversary of NATO at a summit this summer in July in Washington. And I'm very proud that North Macedonia will be there with the 31 other allies as a representation of peace and cooperation together. And I think it shows that North Macedonia could accomplish these things. A country that is relatively young as an independent European state, but in fact has a long history. And going all the way back to the times of Bismarck, they talked about the importance of the Macedonia question to bring stability to the Balkans. Well, we have the answer to that Macedonia question. It is this country, democratic, multi-ethnic, integrated into Euro-Atlantic structures. And again, I think being the 30th member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization is something every citizen of this country can be proud of.
Yes, you have said that this year we are also celebrating the 75 year of NATO as an alliance. It is a very crucial period for the alliance. The war is still going on in Ukraine. In the same time, Putin has got a new mandate as a president. This year we will have the presidential elections in the United States. What do you expect globally?
Well, it's interesting you say that because, yes, there was an election in Russia, but there was obviously no question of who would emerge victorious. Vladimir Putin is essentially a dictator in Russia, and we can see the actions that he's taken, both domestically in terms of the crackdowns on freedom, the complete control of media, of personal thoughts. We see what happened to Mr. Navalny, who was a political opponent who died a terrible death, off in the gulag. Around the world this year, there are many real elections, including, as you said, in the United States and including here. So this is a practice of democracy. I think the outcomes of elections here and certainly in the United States are still unknown. In the US, it's many months away, 7 months. I was a professional career diplomat for 31 years, and so I remain nonpartisan. I worked in Republican administrations, I worked in Democratic administrations, I served many secretaries of state under many different presidents. And I was proud to do that without political bias. My allegiance, my focus was on the Constitution of the United States and fulfilling my responsibilities as a diplomat, including in Europe, including here in North Macedonia. I think no matter how our elections turn out, North Macedonia will still have no better friend than the United States of America. And I think we'll all wait and see how our elections emerge. Not only the presidential elections, but what we call down list, the congressional elections, who will control the Senate, who will control the House of Representatives. These are important in our system as well.
Yes, but it's good to know this message. You mentioned that we are also in election period. We will have elections in 1 month from now. You know the situation in the country. What will be your message or advice for the political leaders in the country, and what will be your message for the citizens?
Well, I think most important is to have good, free, fair elections, and I think we can expect that. That's one of the reasons that North Macedonia is a member of NATO and on the road to becoming a member of the European Union. That's the best future, that's the real future, that integration fully into Europe, and I'm confident that that will come. So it's incumbent upon leaders to encourage and make sure elections are fair. It's incumbent upon citizens to participate in the elections. That's their right, and in some ways an obligation to participate, to turn out, and let your views be known. But I think every citizen needs to think about the future more than the past, to learn from the past, and think about what can be in the future. And I think the future for this country is fully integrated into the European Union, so that we'll be celebrating the same thing we celebrate about NATO. NATO provides security, stability. The European Union can provide greater prosperity. You can see it all around Europe as countries have become members of the European Union. The process is difficult, the process is frustrating, the process can be disappointing at times, and you've been through all that here. I feel like I've lived that with you. But I think that's clearly the best outcome. And I think even those in countries like the United Kingdom, which pulled out of the European Union, have begun to question that, and they understand how important it is to be a part of this single market, to be a part of the European Union. You're still your own country, but you make the required adjustments to move forward and be a part of something that is much bigger, that guarantees a better future for the country and the generations to come.
Yeah, the expectations were bigger. NATO is reality, but we still are on the path for the European Union integration. In this aspect, we have still the same problems since you were the ambassador of the United States: corruption, rule of law. Do you think that EU can be a solution for these problems?
I think it can, and you can see it in the evidence of the countries that have become members of the EU. It doesn't mean you eliminate the problems and the challenges. This is the human condition, and we have to understand that. But it does mean by going through the arduous process of qualifying for EU membership, the frustrations and the disappointments, that you do get to a level of shared values, first and foremost, and those values are then reflected in processes. The rule of law is key and critical to that. It's never perfect, but that's what has to be most important. An independent judiciary that can fully enforce legal judgments and conditions, and that's what people want. As I come back, even this time, visiting for a couple of days, people want to see that, and I think that will be part of the path forward. And I do think there is not just a European future, but a European Union future for North Macedonia, for all of its citizens, and that will be a better, certainly more stable and more prosperous future.
Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Ivan. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Српската полиција ја прекина теренската потрага по 2-годишната Данка Илич, која вчера напладне исчезна во местото Бајнско поле кај Бор. Потрагата е прекината, бидејќи, како што соопштуваат од полицијата, очигледно е дека девојчето не се наоѓа во 10 квадратни километри околу местото на исчезнување кои беа проверувани. Потрагата по Данка ќе продолжи по оперативен пат, соопштуваат српските медиуми, коментирајќи дека полицијата сепак не се трга од местото на исчезнувањето, селската куќа во која престојувало семејството на девојчето. Медиумите јавуваат дека се поставени и шатори пред куќата. Данка Илич исчезна вчера околу 14 часот попладне, додека мајката влегла во куќата за да му даде вода на постарото синче. Кога се завртела, девојчето го немало. Веднаш алармирала и тргнала да ја бара, сметајќи дека 2-годишното девојче не може далеку да стигне сама. Српските медиуми јавија дека попладнево на сослушување во полиција биле родителите на Данка. Полицијата го вештачи и телефонот на мајката. Се испитуваат релациите во семејството и нивните контакти. Се појави и снимка од камера каде се гледа како во време кога исчезнало девојчето, автомобил забрзано се движи по улицата. Еден од соседите сведочи дека забележал мало девојче во дворот на куќа која се наоѓа во близина на семејниот дом на Данка.
Сме пробрзали колима, сам одвезо Кеву на станицу и видим ту една девојчица, али окренута леđima.
Овде испред куќа.
Улазила код комшије, мислим улазила, ту е испред, у нjegovom dvorištu. Јас сам си продолжил и кажем, ќе ви погledaj, kažem, kao moja lanica, ja imam unukicu isto, 3 godine i kažem, ali samo malo manja. I ništa, i odvezemo na stanice, odem do prodavnice, vratim se i kad se vratim, komšija kaže, ali si bre vidio neko dete, kaže, izgubio. Ja ne mogu da tvrdim sad da li je to dete. Znači, da li je, a vidio sam da je zelenkasto uniform, mislim, jaknicu imalo.
Sinoć smo samo došli da pomognemo i vratili su nas zato što je bila ekipa iz žandarmerije sa dronovima i ne znam sa psima. A sada smo se organizovali kao čete za spasavanje.
И тука е крајот на овие вести, следните се во 20, имајте пријатна вечер.